What's a life hack that sounds crappy, but actually works really well?
Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the Vancher channel. Also, please share your thoughts on this video in the comments. Let's get started.
Story 1. I call it the power of might as well. Gonna get up from my desk and go to the kitchen? Oh well, might as well take this plate with me. Going to pee before bed? Oh well, might as well brush my teeth. Going to brush my teeth? Oh well, might as well floss. Going outside? Oh well, might as well bring the trash. It's ridiculous, but it works. Story 2. Take 2 to 10 minutes to tidy up your home before you go to bed. The next morning, you'll feel way better not having to look at all the junk things you still have to do. Answer. I've made a rule for myself that if a tidy up type chore takes less than 5 minutes to do, I have to do it immediately. Things like making my bed in the morning, washing a dish after using it, or breaking down and taking a cardboard box down to my building's recycling bin if I get something shipped to me, I think of as absolutely mandatory and unskippable, undelayable. Anything that takes under 5 minutes has to happen and can't wait. Obviously, if the fire alarm is going off or something, give yourself a pass. But I think it's helped me by repeatedly telling myself, nope, can't put this off. Gotta do it now because it takes less than 5 minutes. That's the rule. Story 3. If something's worth doing, it's usually worth doing badly. Half-assing the dishes is better than leaving them to fester in the sink. Sending old friends a happy birthday message when Facebook prompts you is better than losing touch entirely. Taking a quick shower without soap is better than not showering at all. Piling your laundry up in a basket instead of putting in the wardrobe is better than leaving it scattered over the floor. Also applies to self-improvement stuff as well as maintenance. Don't worry so much about doing 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10-kilometer run that you do nothing. Just walk around the block and do one of each of the others for now. Just write 1 page a day of that novel and allow it to be terrible. Write simple, buggy programs. Draw badly. Watch YouTubers cook or fix their car, or put on makeup or build something, even if you can't find the energy to yourself. If you're having trouble finding a date, start preemptively assuming that everyone is off limits, and just focus on finding genuine friends who match your orientation. Somewhere along the line, you'll lose your discomfort and start getting better at doing what you want or need to do. Answer. Wow, that is a twist I never thought of. As someone who recently discovered that something I've struggled with my whole life is defeated perfectionism, it's always been nearly impossible for me to give value to anything that I don't do in its fullest, best, most complete way, which leads to lots of procrastination and a lot of just not doing things. I've heard done is better than perfect a lot, but it's still really hard to turn into practice. Better to do it badly than not at all is a twist that feels like it'll stick a lot better. Story 4. Choose your reaction before your emotions can. I was always jealous of people who naturally had a great response to problems, like I forgot something at home. Oh well, it happens to everyone. I'm sure they'll understand why I'm late. I began really noticing how much easier that must make life. So I started trying to imagine the right reaction to situations. If you make yourself pause to think of a good reaction, you can kind of choose it like, yeah, that would be a good one. And then you don't give your stupid brain an opportunity to throw out a shoot reaction. Someone made me remember something I think is important to add, so I'm pasting it here so it won't get lost. I learned to do it despite it seeming impossible. The trick for me was to recognize that I was enabling and feeding my own emotional responses. Like, my car won't start, I should be upset. Why wouldn't I be? This will cost me money. I was choosing to be upset because I was supposed to be, or I was entitled to be upset, but I didn't really want to be. Answer. Don't skip past this one, people. Other practices like this can also really help you get a happier life in my experience. One that has really helped me is getting used to thinking, well, this is how it is, and then think about something else. It really helps you ignore the unimportant and unchangeable things. In periods of my life, I have been really tired of school. Now, instead of counting hours, I just think, well, this is how it is. I can't not go to school. Then quickly think about other stuff. I'm about to undergo a surgery after having been hospitalized for several weeks. For the past 4 months, I have undergone a lot of examinations, and the doctors still can't diagnose me. Not once have I been angry that this is happening, because this is how it is, and there is nothing to do about it. I know from experience that you can't just get into that mindset, but I also know from experience that if you practice thinking a certain way, it will become natural. Story 5. When someone you like or respect does something confusingly infuriating, imagine the most favorable to them possible explanation and pretend that's true. Wait until you know more before getting reflexively angry. Edit. Thanks for the awards. I assume the best of you. Answer. I saw a comment a long time ago that said, "We judge ourselves by our intentions, but others by their actions." Since then, when someone does an action I don't like, I really try to figure out their intentions. And when I know my actions haven't lived up to my intentions, I try to communicate that because I don't want the other party to misunderstand my intentions. Story 6. Bending your knees up using a little stool to support your feet while pooping. It has changed my life. Story 7. Not necessarily crappy per se, but I always encourage people to befriend the hospital employees that bring you your meal trays. They'll hook you up with the good stuff so you're not stuck eating crappy food. Story 8. Don't save your banking information on online stores. Makes impulse buying much more difficult if you have to track down your wallet. Story 9. Don't ask someone, "Do you need anything?" when they are going through something. Ask them, "What can I do for you?" and stop talking. Sometimes listening is enough. Being a good listener isn't easy. You have to stop waiting for your turn to speak and just be there for them. Source: Father of Daughters. Story 10. Ignoring toxic family members or work calls can improve your mental health when properly spread out. Sometimes it's okay to set your phone aside and unplug. Answer. I'm in sales consulting. It's a 6-day-a-week gig. We finally were given dedicated work phones. I moved all my customers to that number. Didn't tell them it was a work phone, just that I was switching numbers. After 6 and on Saturdays, I just turned the phone off. There's nothing I can help with at that time that cannot be addressed the following day. I also moved work apps, emails, etc. to solely that phone. If something is absolutely on fire, my boss will reach out on my personal phone. This has been fantastic for my work-life balance. Unfortunately, I really don't like my job, but that's on me. Story 11. I started saying silly instead of stupid. Like, for example, "Oh, I'm so stupid," or "That was stupid." I've noticed that it helped improve my self-esteem. Story 12. If you keep forgetting if you locked your door car lock, do something silly after locking it. It will help you remember if you have to think back. Story 13. Do a light stretch every morning. Nothing fancy, just spine, shoulder, neck, and leg stretches should be fine. Breathe deeply while you do it to wake yourself up. Especially for people with a sedentary lifestyle or who work in office jobs, this is huge. Don't lose track of your body's flexibility and strength. Feel it stretch every morning, and you will spend the rest of your day and hopefully your life with a real ease of movement. You'll feel lighter and stronger. Also, visual cues to remind you to fix your posture and sit with an elongated, technically you shouldn't say straight, spine. Post-it notes everywhere. Notice other people's posture, and that'll make you fix yours. Trust me, the smallest movements like lifting boxes or going upstairs, picking things up from the floor, etc., they should never feel difficult. Stretching in the morning helps your body to be ready to perform those tiny day-to-day activities efficiently without wasting energy. Answer. I have an AI disease that can cause my muscles to seize up. I am prone to back spasms that will land me in the ER and will affect my mobility to the point that I need a cane. I was trying to do yoga on a daily basis to keep myself limber, but even that felt too harsh on my body some of the time. Then I stumbled on Qigong, and it was a game changer. It is similar to Tai Chi. The movements are gentle and perfect for first thing in the morning. Breathing is vital to the practice. It has been so good for my body. I feel better, can move with ease. I've been able to handle yoga and even other sports better. It was something I started back in April, and I've not had a major seizing up of my muscles since that time. I do not start a single day without it. If I feel like I don't have time, I do a simple 10 to 12 minute practice and it helps. I try to do longer on most days, but I never skip. I'm afraid if I slack off, I'll get stiff and risk injury. I haven't felt this good in a long time. Story 14. Befriend the invisible. People that everyone overlooks. The hotel maids, the janitor at your office, anyone doing a thankless job that people often look down upon. Treat them like valuable human beings because they are. These are people working far harder than most of us can imagine, taking care of themselves and their families, and often barely scraping by. You never know in this life when you're going to be the one interaction that saves someone's life, or at least made it a little bit better for a day or a moment. And you never know when some person who nobody paid attention to could end up being there for you, especially if they know and like you. Answer: I'm the janitor at my work and it's fudge depressing. I was at the bank to get an auto deposit form or whatever and really hit it off with the teller. She's a big Marvel fan, and I was telling her about frames per second in Into the Spider-Verse and was going to ask her out, and she probably would have said yes. But then I told her I was a janitor and all the sparks got doused in. She didn't become cold or anything, but she certainly lost interest. Story 15. That trick with cutting watermelon with dental floss actually works. I only had mint dental floss, but no one said that the watermelon tasted like mint. Story 16. Stop setting needless rules for yourself. You can shower in the dark, eat the parts of a sandwich separately in fistfuls from the bag, run the dishwasher twice. There is no proper way to do the mundane things in life, so long as they are done to a standard you're okay with. It sounds like bullshit, but as an adult slowly realizing they have ADHD and fighting chronic illness and long-term MH issues, this shoot was life-changing. I can just find a way to get the job done. It doesn't need to be perfect from step A to Z. If I end up only ever putting laundry on at 2 a.m. and putting the machine on a timer so it starts at 7, that's fine because it still gets done. Answer: my mom taught this in college. I was meanie to her about being sick of the cereal I was eating, and yet being only 34 of the way through the box. After she stopped giggling, she told me that I was allowed to have more than one kind open at a time. That was the crack in the dike. Now I have up to 8 boxes going at any time. Or maybe I'll just have peanut butter and jelly sandwich for breakfast. And who says you can't have a baked potato and potato salad at the same meal? Story 17. Fake it till you make it. Everyone has to learn, and it's okay to learn on the way. Edit: unless you're a doctor. Please don't do this if you're a surgeon or doctor. Edit. I may be wrong on my last edit per a comment below. Good to know, although a little scary knowing. Edit. Maybe don't try and fake a music festival into existence without a location and proper planning. Answer: no, really it is needed in the medical profession too. So many young physicians have imposter syndrome. It takes months to years for some people to really believe in themselves and their training. Source: I am a physician who after years in practice now works training other physicians. It's part of why we all put on the white coat. It sells it to the physicians and everyone they see. Story 18. Fingernail polish remover on cold sores. I know. Sounds crazy, right? I've gotten cold sores since I was a child. In middle school, I had a teacher very excitedly tell me to go home and ask my mom if she had any fingernail polish remover and to try it. She swore on the stuff. So I went home and tried, and it's actually fudge incredible. A chemical in it dries up any liquids crazy fast. I used to try to puncture them with a needle to drain the fluid, and it made me realize that the remover only burns when it's an open sore. If you leave the sore in one piece, it doesn't burn at all. Y'all, it makes them go away crazy fast. All of the medications for cold sores say that if you can get their products on the sores as soon as you can feel it, it'll go away. I've never had any luck with that, but fingernail polish actually does just that. When it's at the stage where it's real bulbous and filled with liquid, that's the best time to use it. Put some on a cotton ball, and you'll see a big difference in just a few hours. I've even had entire sores just vanish in about 4 hours after using it. Granted, they were smaller ones. I know it sounds crazy, but try it a few times and you'll never buy actual cold sore medication again. Answer: I use aftershave on it, and it works really well too. Also, when you first get a tingle, take an ice cube and hold it to the spot for 10-ish minutes. I wrap the ice cube in a paper towel so I can hold it easier, and because it will obviously melt a little, but I make sure the ice cube actually touches skin. Every time I do this, a cold sore never ends up forming. You have to be sure to do it right when you feel the first tingle. I've waited a day before and it was too late, but when I do it right away, it always works. Story 19. Don't put something down, put it away. As a right-brain slob, this mantra helps me keep things marginally organized. Story 20. Smiling in the mirror when you're feeling down. The act of smiling releases molecules in the brain that help relieve stress, pain, and sadness. Story 21. Place a small bowl of 23 water, 13 white vinegar, or lemon juice in your microwave and cook on high for 10 minutes. Any stuck-on dried food residue will wipe right off with no effort. Story 22. YMMV. But when you're giving presentations or interviews, literally pretend you're Steve Jobs. Watch his videos on YouTube. The dude had a questionable personality, but nobody's questioning that he's a darn good public speaker. I have social anxiety, and literally just pretending that I'm like a presentation god makes a huge difference. Story 23. Learning to do things the hard way first makes it easier on the long run, since you can't always use the easy way, but the hard way always works. Story 24. When you done eating pickles and still have pickles brine left in the jar, don't spill it out. Cut up a red onion into rings and throw them into the jar. Refrigerate, and couple of days later you have pickled onion rings. Works best with bread butter type brine IMO, but you do you. Story 25. Had a pigeon problem on my balcony. I live in front of a church, so a lot of them gather there. At night and early on the morning, they would come to my balcony, leaving shoot and feathers all around and biting my plants. One day I saw a plastic raven at a store. That supposedly scares them away. It was expensive, and I didn't have much money, so I grabbed a bunch of black plastic bags and some wire, made a fake raven, and attached it to the railing. It's been like 7 months, and I haven't seen a single pigeon on the balcony since. Story 26. One of my favorite is to bring a couple of new disposable diapers to the beach, lake, river, etc. If you decide to leave your towel to hit the water, you can wrap your cell phone, car keys, wallet up in diaper, then fasten it up, and I promise you no one will mess with your stuff. You're welcome. Story 27. This is gonna sound kinda sad, but just work. I've had some great jobs, some shoot jobs, and periods of no job. I would always prefer having something to put my mind to, even if it's mundane, than leave it unchecked. I found my mind can go to some weird places. Story 28. Taking 2 steps at a time when walking up the stairs. You take half the time to get to the next floor, and you get a good glute workout at the same time. Story 29. If you're struggling at work or at school, tell your boss or teacher, instead of trying to hide it. They want you to succeed too, and might offer suggestions or reduce your workload a little. Plus, it'll help reduce the anxiety you feel about them finding out you're struggling. Story 30. When you want to pop a zit, pull your fingers apart rather than pushing them together. This stretches the pore open and doesn't drive the zit deeper, where it would just cause more problems. Source: my doctor in HS. Story 31. GiftGenius.ai. Bare bones look but crazy tech behind it. It uses GPT-3, an AI from Elon Musk's OpenAI. Gives usually uncannily accurate recommendations. Feels like an entirely new way to search. Story 32. After a heavy night of drinking, guzzle as much water as you can until you feel like you're going to burst, and that'll seriously reduce your likelihood of a hangover. Not greasy food the next morning or loads of sleep, just water. Story 33. No self-developing habit is good unless you can do it sustainably. Discipline of frequency trumps sporadic brilliance in most cases. Story 34. If you often forget something when you leave home, when you get a minute, close your eyes, imagine yourself leaving your house and say to yourself, "Have I forgotten anything?" Then imagine something really random, like a talking tree or dragon, screaming the item like, "Face mask," in a ridiculous way. Do this a few times, and the next time you leave your house, you'll remember the thing screaming what you've forgotten. Story 35. If you burn yourself, puncture a liquid Advil and squeeze it on the burned area. It's a miracle cure. Dabbing liquid Benadryl on arthritic, painful joints in the hands works similarly. Story 36. Putting kiwi on a steak. Kiwi juice has enzymes that break down meats, tenderizing the steak. Pineapple does the same thing, but has a much stronger flavor. So put a bit of kiwi mush on your steak about 30 minutes prior to cooking it, and it will be amazingly tender without a strange flavor added. Story 37. Fake it till you make it. We know that the actions we take are influenced by our feelings, but our feelings are also influenced by our actions. Doing something, even if we don't want to, will often cause us to rationalize why we did it and fool ourselves in thinking that we really did feel like doing it in the first place, increasing the likelihood of us wanting to do it in the future. Story 38. For real, when you have hiccups, translated so IDK if it's right, but think about a white horse. Google a picture and think about it. It's gone before you know. Happened me just an hour ago and tried it, and for me it worked. Answer. Hiccups are entirely mental after the first few hiccups. The actual twitch in your diaphragm only lasts a short while, but human brains are kinda dumb, so yours just makes you keep going. All hiccup cures work by distracting your stupid brain. The takeaway here is that you can actually just decide to stop hiccuping. The trick is knowing that you can do that. I've done it a few times. After I did it 2 or 3 times, I just stopped getting hiccups. Been something like a year, so it might be coincidence, but it might not be. Story 39. Never shop when hungry. Habits are formed over a few weeks. Look after your feet. Even a blister can screw up your week. Story 40. Every time my girlfriend's toilet is clogged, instead of using a plunger, she puts plastic wrap over the entire toilet and flushes. It actually unclogs it, so that's crappy, I guess. Story 41. Off Deep Woods Bug Repellent contains a chemical that will immediately cut through the yellow grime on your headlights. Just spray a paper towel and wipe it away. Edit. See comment from YumaGlen69 below. An excellent link worth watching before trying. While I've used this method a few times without damage to surrounding plastics, I can attest that the cloudiness on the lens will return after a while. Story 42. Exercising for mental health. Exercise brings greater stamina, which makes you feel physically and mentally able to take on more. Aside from that, it gives you something else to focus on. Story 43. Before pouring coffee, I heat water in the microwave until it's boiling in my ceramic coffee mug, making the mug nice and hot. Then, dump out the boiling water and pour in the coffee. That way, the mug keeps the coffee warm for a much longer time. Story 44. When cooking, get an old margarine container, cleaned, and use it to put all the scraps and waste from making dinner. Just set it next to or on the cutting board. So much easier to manage your cooking and cutting. Story 45. EMDR sounds like utter bullshit, but it worked for me. Like magic. I mean, not the quickest magic, but way quicker than talk therapy. By orders of magnitude. Story 46. Tuck down your shoelaces. It looks like a bad idea, but it saves time. Tie it again and again. Tie it double knot first is recommended. Story 47. Mirror checks. I had a severe drinking problem, and I used to lecture myself drunkenly in the mirror in the bathroom. I finally listened to that guy and got cleaned up and sober. I still see him, in there. I ask him how he's doing and if he's okay. He usually tells me the truth too. When I've heard what he has to say, I take it and try to adjust my day accordingly. Sometimes, when you don't have other people around to check on you or monitor your well-being, you have to depend on yourself. This is a good way to become in touch with your inner dialogue too. Also, speaking of that inner dialogue, we are all in one long-winded argument with ourselves. Usually, I just try to remember that, since I know my own tactics, I can easily and readily outmaneuver myself and win these arguments. Helps me when the desire to sleep in or procrastinate is nearly overwhelming. It's okay to fight dirty with yourself too. Story 48. I have this saying, if you believe it, then it's true. This applies to psychological senses, like religion or myths. I have nightmares very often. They're more likely to happen if I go to sleep in fear of having one. So I just try my best to convince myself that I am going to dream about something in particular. Like the other night I watched Pirates of the Caribbean for the first time, and I went to sleep telling myself to dream about being a pirate. It was lots of fun. 1010 would recommend to dream about being a pirate. Lol. Story 49. I'm a cobbler. They that delve in such things make these fancy, expensive boot trees for tall, knee-high, women's hoods to keep them standing up and prevent the stack, shin part, from creasing. A pool noodle cut to length works as well. Story 50. If you want something to memorize, instead of reading it many times at one sitting, read it multiple times at an interval, and do something else between. This will help memorize faster. This is mainly helpful for big essays and articles, which is more of by hearting the stuff rather than concepts. Also, writing it down after a few reads. If needed, write it down, seeing the book, and then read what you wrote will also expedite. Story 51. Don't ask people, are you sure? People struggle with doubt in their lives enough. Go with what they say and give them confidence about their decision. Story 52. You can remove pet hair from upholstery by just misting it with water, then swiping it with your hand. The hair starts to ball up. Works surprisingly well, and it's free. Story 53. Crazy idea, but actually worked. Forgiving myself for not being perfect. Getting sleep and drinking water with the occasional vegetable with my regular dinner. Worked wonders for my physical condition. Story 54. When you have a guest, instead of asking, do you want something to eat? Just give them the plate of cookies, and they'll decide if they actually want it without troubling you. Story 55. Opting out instead of going along with social traditions and expectations. It will liberate you in ways you may not be able to imagine at first. I celebrate only what and with whom I want to celebrate. I no longer do holidays, weddings, showers, or those horrid office birthday lunches. I basically don't do any, quote, mandatory fun. As a result, I don't suffer through experiences I'd rather not be having while pretending to enjoy myself. And I can focus my attention on caring for people in ways that feel much more authentic to me. There's definitely been a social cost to this in terms of people thinking I'm weird or pressuring me or assuming I'm going to participate in things just because I'm supposed to. Getting past worrying what others think wasn't easy, nor was overcoming the inertia of doing what I'd been taught to do my entire life. It's been worth it for the sake of being truer to myself and living more on my own terms. Answer: I pretty much have to. I don't eat meat anymore, but major gatherings and holidays revolve around it traditionally. Barbecues and ribs, Thanksgiving and turkeys, Christmas and Jesus meat. If I didn't choose to ignore traditions and do what I wanted to, I'd probably not keep up what I genuinely want to do just because the past dictated it. But I don't need to conform. I embrace my choices, understand I'm the outlier, and do things my way. And most people, if they like you, don't care about it after a minute of trying to make sense of it. Is something wrong with my cooking? I bet it's great, but I'm eating these jackfruit sliders I brought Aunt Nancy. You're more than welcome to any of the quinoa spring rolls. There's plenty for everybody. Same with holidays and gifts. My family and I don't do gifts anymore for each other, just for the kiddos. Takes a huge amount of pressure off me during the holidays. Meanwhile, some in-laws still make a huge tradition out of gift giving, and it turns into this stressful, subtly competitive contest for everyone involved. Friends of mine dislike blowing a house down payment on a wedding celebration when they would have been happier going to a park and doing a potluck with everyone. Even with COVID, so many people feel the need to travel and be together during the holidays and brag about it. I certainly embrace seeing everyone on Zoom if it means I can see everyone I love without risking their lives. And also I can pretend to be like Zordon to everyone. So many of our social traditions are just ways to get us all together, and a lot of them are fun. And if you like them, enjoy them. I still love Halloween stuff, but it's okay for them to evolve, change, and grow. Maybe personally, maybe as a family, and maybe as all of us going through a major pandemic. Story 56. I wish I could remember which Reddit post I lifted this from originally, but halt and wait. Halt. When faced with making a decision, ask yourself, am I hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? If so, you're probably not in the best shape to make important decisions. Wait. Why am I talking? This little self-check helps me think before I speak, not speak just to fill space, and most importantly, listen more than I speak. Story 57. Oh, if you aren't going to get 8 hours sleep, it's easier to wake up if you have less than 4. Whatever you do, don't disrupt REM sleep. Story 58. If you have athlete's foot often because of sports and stuff, there is a simple but strange solution. When you take a shower every night, pee on your toes. The ammonia and other stuff in your urine eliminate it and prevents it from happening. Then wash your feet with soap, of course, and tell no one. Way back in high school, my friend's doctor told him to do it, and I tried it. It worked when all the creams and sprays and powders failed me. Story 59. Breathing practice is a lot more powerful than I ever thought. I thought it was stupid until I took it seriously. I taught myself to not snore. Story 60. The 20 Vegas room upgrade. When you go to check in, put a 20 bill with your ID and ask, do you have any complimentary upgrades available? With all the rewards they have now, this may not work for you. But even at a hotel that the lady told me, we have our rewards program that will do that, was followed with her upgrading the room to a much nicer one. Story 61. Tell someone you live with what you're looking for. My partner and I do this all the time. If I lose something and spent an hour trying to find it, he'll walk in and have it in 5 minutes. If he loses something, he doesn't bother doing more than a focused look and will then ask me, who will either know where it is or spot as soon as I walk into the room. Wait, I need to ask him to find the advent stockings my mom knitted for us, LOL. Story 62. Just before you throw your towel in the laundry after a shower, use it to wipe down all the surfaces in the bathroom. Sink, taps, floor, and finally the toilet. It goes in the laundry anyway and helps give the bathroom a quick clean, reducing the need for a deep clean as often. Story 63. If you're constipated and have a female body part, stick your thumb up your vag and gently rub downwards on the back wall of the vaginal canal. Can help to guide your hard shoot out of your rectum. You don't want to be forcing it, just helping it along. Been a lifesaver, truly. Story 64. More depression-based, but stop making up rules based on societal norms at home. For example, Are you overwhelmed by dishes in the sink and don't want to scrub them before putting them in the dishwasher? Just run the dishwasher twice. Does making a sandwich sound like too much work? Just eat the ingredients you want and don't assemble them. Nothing wrong with eating a plate of turkey and cheese as is. Pile of laundry too big to put away? Spend a little time sorting it into smaller piles. Tops, underwear, pants, etc. So you can have an easier time finding what you need. But don't put it away if you don't want to. Need fresh air but don't want to go outside or go for a run? Open the windows and put on your sneakers and just walk around your living room a little bit. There are plenty of ways we make these weird rules for ourselves, like that we have to scrub dishes before running the dishwasher or put away everything at once. Especially right now, with many people battling isolation and many for the first time experiencing depression or anxiety, your brain automatically tries to tell you what you should be doing and make you feel bad about it. Nobody is watching or judging you in your own home. Obviously, toxic family members or other scenarios aside. So do what you can when you can. And remember that not everything needs to be a full production. These are some tips I've gotten from therapy and others online and really helped me. Story 65. If you get water in your ear during a shower, bath, swimming, etc., get on your knees in front of the bed in prayer blowjob position. Turn your head so the affected ear is closest to or facing the bed. Then slam the side of your head against the bed. Should knock the water out but may take an additional slam or two. Story 66. Lift your knees and legs up like you're using a little stool while pooping. It has changed my life, and you get a good ab workout at the same time. Story 67. If you have a cough, drink a bottle of laxative. Won't help your throat much, but you'll be too afraid to cough. Problem solved. Story 68. If you have ingested too much cannabis and feel paranoia, here is the cure. Go to your kitchen and grab your tin of black pepper. Shake it up, pop it open, and breathe in the pepper dust once or twice. Not the whole ground pepper, just the dusty portion. In less than a minute, you will be having fun again. You're welcome. Get back to enjoying plant substance again. Story 69. Using mayonnaise instead of butter to make a grilled cheese. You don't have to wait for soft butter, and the egg in the mayo seems to make a crunchier texture. Story 70. If you've got a paper due at 9 a.m. the next day, and it's midnight and you still have about 3 hours of work to do, go to sleep and set your alarm for 5 a.m. to finish it the next day. Sleeping on it will make the writing come easier in the morning, because your subconscious will be working on it as you sleep. Knowing you literally have no more time to procrastinate will make you work faster. And with a little sleep under your belt, you'll be thinking a little more clearly and will be less likely to make thoughtless mistakes. Story 71. Cut out the bottom of your boxer shorts so you have a boxer skirt. You will be amazed by your new level of freedom. Story 72. If your phone isn't properly charging, it's probably just dusty. Check the inside of the charging port with a magnifying glass for lint. Don't use anything conductive to clean it out. Use something like a toothpick. Be careful not to bend any fragile parts inside the port. If you have a TV or home entertainment remote control that stopped working, it's probably just the graphite on the inner silicone barrier that's rubbed away. You can fix your remote with stuff you likely already have around the house. Take note of which buttons no longer work. Disassemble your remote and grab a pencil, some sort of glue that doesn't dry too fast, a cotton swab, and a sharp blade. Shave the graphite from the pencil onto a sheet of paper or something. Then dab a very small amount of glue to the underside of the silicone, where the original dot used to be. Use the cotton swab to remove excess glue. You only need a bit on the surface. Now drop a pinch of graphite dust onto the glue. Wait till it dries, knock off any remaining graphite, then reassemble. Graphite is conductive. All you're doing is closing a circuit when you press a button. This isn't a life hack, just something I accidentally realized when playing Minecraft. If you're methodical about digging tunnels, this doesn't work in caverns. Place torches only on one side. If, for example, you place torches only on the left as you stray from your point of origin, you'll always find your way home no matter how many turns you make. Just make sure the torches are on the opposite side when trying to get home. It's impossible to get lost. Story 73. In facing dilemmas, I ask myself, what would smart me do? The answer is usually obvious. Smart me still sometimes gets vetoed, but genuinely helpful tool. Story 74. Change your sheets more often than you probably do. It's really not that much work, and let's be honest, who doesn't love crawling into a freshly changed bed? Story 75. Have a cough that makes it hard to sleep? Cover the bottom of your feet in Vicks. Be generous, and then put on thick socks. I have no idea why, but it stops the coughing. It feels weird too. Story 76. If you wake up feeling super tired and shoot, just stand up and get a glass of water and or take a piss. I know it's the hardest part about waking up, but the sooner you just get out of bed, the sooner you start feeling normal. X200B. Now I just gotta figure out how to make normal feel less like shoot. Story 77. Freezing sauces allows the dense portion to settle the really liquid part to rise. Once it's completely frozen, just decant the sauce, rinse away the clear ice at the top. This will save hours of cooking off the sauce to thicken it. Also, instead of parboiling raw foods to stuff, cabbage, peppers, etc., just thaw them to make them pliable. Story 78. Whether you eat a high-priced steak or a bologna sandwich, either way, you're full when you're finished eating. Story 79. Put your keys with what you need to remember to take home, such as food in the fridge, your lunchbox at work, or even your headphones if you want to remember to take them with you. Works every time unless you forget about what you wanted to remember. Ice cream that I wanted to take to work in my freezer. Looked for at least 10 minutes for my keys before I remembered, and people always wonder why my keys are in the fridge. Story 80. I initially did intermittent fasting to lose a few pounds, but the cognitive benefits in terms of a stable level of alertness, focus, and mood were so noticeable that that's just what I do now. It's been 5 years, and I see no reason to go back to the normal way of eating. Edit. Intermittent fasting is basically not eating food until evening-ish. Story 81. Creating vision boards and imagining your future the way you want it to be. It sounds like the secret bullshit, but it also creates a belief that your brain begins looking to connect the dots on. Think of it like confirmation bias. You see what you want to see. If you say, I'm going to get a job making chairs, you will naturally start noticing things tied to that. Opportunities, places to get tools, classes, whatever. Why the secret is still bullshit is you actually have to do the thing. Nothing gets handed to you. You're just tuning your filters for the kind of input you want. Story 82. Let's talk about context switching. This is where you quit paying attention to what you're doing and pay attention to something totally different. You can switch back to the original thing, of course, but that's 2 context switches. Mind you, this also doesn't full-on match the original context. You'll be creating an entirely new context, but it will relate to the stuff before. Your brain can't pay attention to things for hours at a time. We just aren't wired that way. This is why if you cram hard, you can't seem to remember anything on test day. Your brain actually has an arc where it will remember the first things and the last things you looked at, but forget everything in the middle. This is usually about 20 minutes, but it varies by person. If it's 20 minutes, you'll remember the first and last 10 minutes, even if you pay attention to the same thing for 10 hours. So when you're trying to learn something or study, don't hyperfocus. Let yourself context switch your brain every 20 minutes or so. Again, this varies, so you'll need to test how long your attention span is. If you constantly find yourself only remembering 15 minutes of work, then yours is 15 minutes. Now, mind that this doesn't need to be full on doing something else for whatever the time span is. It can be something as quick as looking up a word in the dictionary and reading the definition. The point is to derail your train of thought so your brain resets its context. Incidentally, this also works when you're working on some kind of cognitive task. For example, every programmer has a story where they fought with a bug all goddarn day fudge hell. Why can't I fix this? Only to have the solution hit them like a ton of bricks when they got up to get a cup of coffee. It's precisely the same mechanism in play. The context switch forced your brain off of its track so it could then go back to the original context, but with that reset. Story 83. When giving someone options for a situation, nod your head slightly when saying the one you want them to pick, and shake your head slightly when saying the ones you don't want. Story 84. To peel garlic cloves, put them in a jar with a lid, shake it vigorously for 5 to 10 seconds, and all your cloves are peeled. Story 85. Not one I've heard of, but come up with myself. Putting a string on things. Got one on my remote, and I never lose it. As well as putting long strings on my fan in my bedroom, so I can turn the light on and off, and adjust the fan, no matter where in the room I'm sitting. Or maybe not that long, but just extending it in case you have high ceilings. It's dumb, but it's very helpful. Helps a lot when you're in bed and want to adjust the fan, and you can grab it with your feet. LOL. Story 86. I let my kids practice pouring drinks in the lid of the dishwasher. If they spill, you just close the lid of the dishwasher and the mess is gone. Story 87. Chew gum while chopping onions to help prevent crying. Also, chewing gum while studying and chewing the same flavor during the test has shown signs of helping memory. Story 88. I have smaller, old pipes in my apartment, and my toilet would frequently clog and end up overflowing. I fixed that by adding a stack of washers on top of the flapper valve so that it no longer floats. It's no longer push handle and walk away. You actually have to hold the handle to get it to flush. But now, if it clogs, you can just let go of the handle and it stops filling. Story 89. Eating Takis, Cheetos, etc. with chopsticks or a glove. So much better than dealing with red fingers. Story 90. Sleeping with separate comforters. I did it one night as a jokey overreaction to my husband's excessive body heat. Turned out to be the best sleep we've had in a long time. Added bonus, it makes sexy time hints abundantly clear considering you have to leave your private blanket burrito to initiate. Story 91. Keep all your receipts of really expensive shoot you bought and have it saved in your email, just in case. In the event of a fire that destroys your home, your insurance company is going to offer to replace anything lost. The catch is, if you're not descriptive at all, your insurance company is going to be cheap as fudge with the crap you buy. Writing down 4K TV will mean your insurance company will replace it with the cheapest 4K TV. Giving them a receipt will mean they will have to either buy the exact model, match the TV with another product, or just pay you the exact money you paid for if they can't buy the TV. In the same insurance report, don't hesitate to be as descriptive as possible with even minor things lost. If you lost a bottle of shampoo, don't just say shampoo. Say shampoo with biotin, and they'll buy a product that has the description. Even saying Biotin Shampoo 6 will be reasonable. Don't lie and be honest, and you can have your insurance buy back your old bathroom, basically. If you're going to forget all of this information, at least remember this for your clothes. Story 92. When you go to the doctor, you are the manager of your illness injury. The doctor is a consultant whose advice you can agree or disagree with. Doctors are not all-knowing. Knowing that can save a whole lot of anguish. Story 93. Think about the most painful aspects of your life and write down how you feel about them. Read a few books maybe. Open the mind, stop closing it off. Story 94. If you are having a bad day that's really getting to you, despite trying to be optimistic or doing things that will change it for the better, and it just not working, decide you are going to have a bad day. Tell the world you want a bad day. If it continues to be a bad day, you feel better because you chose it, and you can be a little smug because it was bad. If it turns out good instead, well, you lost, but you also won. Win-win. Don't self-sabotage. Just decide it's a bad day and it's what you want. Story 95. Putting a wooden spoon across a boiling pot keeps it from boiling over when boiling noodles or potatoes. Story 96. Good enough is good enough. As a perfectionist and procrastinator, it took me most of my life to figure this out. Give it the best shot you can give, and then when that's done, so is whatever you're working on. Granted, sometimes you need to revisit something, but at a certain point you just have to cut it loose. Doing homework and want a 100 but you don't have the time to figure it all out. Take a 70 rather than not turn it in. Have a picture that doesn't look exactly how you want it to be. Instead of spending the next hour redoing stuff and getting frustrated, find a way to finish it within 110th the time you've already spent, then move on. Redraw it if you really want, but finish it because good enough is good enough. Story 97. Using chopsticks to eat chips out of a bag. I started doing it to keep my fingers from getting coated in chip dust, which I've always disliked. Story 98. Cupcakes as bread while eating spicy soups. Might not work with all spicy soups, but with the ones I make, basically chicken soup with a lot of noodles and some Thai peppers. It tastes divine. IDK. Somehow the spiciness of the soup really brings out the sweetness of the cupcake, and vice versa. They somehow just amplify each other's taste. Disclaimer. I eat some weird shit, so it might just be me who thinks it tastes good, but oh God, does it taste good. Story 99. The 3-second rule. I learned this in Army basic training. Basically, you're supposed to think about what you're going to say for 3 seconds. Save you a lot of stupid questions and pointless comments. Unfortunately, it's much easier said than done. Story 100. Coca-Cola removes stains. If you're scared of leaving a sticky, sugary mess behind, you'll be shocked to learn soap can remove sugar. Story 101. Set your clock 5 minutes ahead of the actual time during test. It helped me with time management and checking my answers. Story 102. If you need to remember something, place a strange object in an obvious place it doesn't belong while you have that task or duty or whatever in mind. Like, say you need to remember You need to check up on a friend. Put something like a couch cushion or what have you on your kitchen counter, and when you pass it and see it, you'll think, why is that there? And then it'll click. Story 103. Taking a minute to breathe before an activity. It may sound like a drag to stop for a minute, but it really helps calm down the mind. Story 104. If you don't know what to do, just keep on doing random stuff even if it's for a few minutes. You may end up double-taking something and feeling much better than you would if you did something you liked forcefully. Story 105. You can get through crowds of people really quickly by using your hands as turning signals to indicate which way you're going. People just move out of the way instinctively. Story 106. When it comes to shopping, especially online shopping, put whatever the product you want to buy in your cart and wait a week. 910 times, you end up not buying it either because you forgot the reason or you don't think it's necessary anymore. Or heck, you just forgot entirely. Most shopping, especially for gadgets and such, are done impulsively, and most of the time is regretted upon the purchase of said item. The money you'll save is insane. Story 107. Making your bed. I know, makes no sense at first, but I came home really pissed and saw my bed was made when I came home and just felt nice. Story 108. If you are cutting garlic and want the smell off your hands, rub your hands on the stainless steel sink, if you have one, to get rid of the smell. They sell stainless steel soap bars for this reason. Story 109. I have a basket at the top of the stairs and one at the bottom. As I go throughout the day, I take things that need to be on the opposite floor and drop them in the basket. Either at the end of the day, or if I'm going up-down with empty hands, I take the basket and put everything away in it immediately. Or make the kids do it. It helps so much because it's like I'm tidying all day long but not running up and down. So therefore just leaving it until next time. Story 110. You want to reach somewhere through a crowd? Just look in the direction you're going and walk. Don't look away. Story 111. Plastic bag with an impossible knot. Twist the end and push it through. Works with other knots but more noticeable with plastic. Story 112. Using vinegar to clean up leaked batteries. I honestly got few electronic things for free because people chug them out due to battery leak. Story 113. Need to proofread something but gone word blind? Change the font of the entire document. Your brain will read it as new information. Comic Sans actually works well for this, and it'll be really apparent if anything gets missed when you switch back. Story 114. For procrastinators like me, when you have a busy day or something you really need to do, get washed and dressed before anything else, even breakfast. I found that it puts me in a better frame of mind, and I'm more likely to get on with what I've got to do than if I stay in my PJs, have breakfast, and then get dressed. Story 115. There's these weird latex tube things that are like one-fingered gloves but bigger. Anyways, they're really good at blocking sperm. You can use them to prevent unwanted pregnancies. Story 116. Rebranding food. I once had a cousin who wouldn't eat veggies, so I said it was fairy dinner, and only real fairies could eat it. She ate it all, and I acted surprised that she is a fairy. She was 4. Story 117. Most people are too lazy to really report you to anyone for anything. Being a moderate jerk will make your life easier without much trouble. Story 118. To easily separate seeds from a pomegranate, soak the whole fruit in a pot of hot water for about an hour. Then, make a few slices in the skin and rip it all apart while keeping it submerged. All the seeds fall to the bottom of the pot and the inedible stuff floats. Rinse off and enjoy. Story 119. Using laundry baskets in place of shopping bags. I just have the grocery clerk put the stuff back in my cart, take it out to my car, and load it on the baskets. Much easier to carry into the house and much less waste. Story 120. Throw out stuff that you haven't used just because your mother gave it to you. If it's useless, throw it or re-gift it. Always make it a rule to declutter once every few weeks. Story 121. If you want to make a canned soda or beer or whatnot cold, and it's on ice but not cold yet, roll it on the ice for like 30 seconds. Works every time. Story 122. Don't do work in your bed. Keep your bed as a place of relaxation, so then your body knows that when it's there, it's time to sleep. Obviously, this relies on having enough other spaces for everything else, so not always possible. But as much as you can keep your bed a place of rest and intimacy, that's allowed. Story 123. Bring newspaper to the beach. If your car gets stuck in the sand, put a single sheet of newspaper in front of the wheel. Story 124. If your hands smell after cutting garlic, wet them and rub them fast on the ridged metal on your kitchen sink. If your eyes sting after cutting onions, stick your head in the freezer. The sting goes away fast. Story 125. If you need to get wrinkles out of a shirt, throw it in the dryer with a damp towel for 5 to 10 minutes. It's not perfect, but gets the job done. Story 126. Don't get annoyed angry at other people's actions. Putting a positive spin on it in my head, justifying it in a positive way, or simply ignoring it has made me a more positive person. Things don't rile me up as much as they used to, and I feel much better for it. It takes much less effort and energy to be happy and content, rather than negative and angry most of the time. Story 127. Think of chores as doing yourself in the future a favor. Actually works, and when you realize how your past self did the dishes with you in mind, you really become thankful, just as you would if someone helped you. Story 128. If you get chili juice in your eyes while cutting them, use a slice of bread to soak it up. Using water to rinse runs the risk of washing the juice round to the back of your eye, where it damaged something and caused damage to your vision. Story 129. Eating a healthy, well-balanced diet and avoiding processed food makes you feel better. Physically, mentally, and emotionally, you feel better. But goddarn, I miss my Cheetos and cookies. Story 130. If you're half asleep in the mornings and always panic and think, did I forget to turn something off or lock the front door as you go to work school? Always say a silly word when turning things off, locking a door. You'll remember doing so. Story 131. You wake up and still feel really tired? Set an alarm for 5 or 10 minutes and commit to getting up as if you're running late. In my experience, when I do this, I wake up sooner and a bit more refreshed, and I'm not likely to go back to sleep. Note, adjust accordingly if you have a job to go to. Story 132. Put a brown paper bag in the corner of your porch. The wasps think it is a nest and go somewhere else to build. Story 133. If you're eating something spicy and it's too much for you, drink hot water. Something reasonable, not enough to burn your tongue. I didn't believe it at first either. Story 134. If you squeeze your thumb on your left hand onto your palm with your fingers, all using your left hand, your gag reflex goes away. Story 135. If you have a sunburn and don't have any aloe for it, pour some milk on a paper towel and press that against the sunburn. Always works if you burnt yourself on from the oven or stove. No idea why it works, but my grandparents were really good at using common things for uncommon purposes. Story 136. Go to bed at a reasonable time. Get up early. Try to get 8 hours of quality sleep every night. Get up the same exact time every day, 7 days a week. No sleeping in. It is absolutely life-altering. In bed by 10:30 p.m., up at 6:30 a.m. every day. Story 137. Honestly, the best answer to this specific question. On the surface, it sounds like crappy advice, but most of the time, something is better than nothing, especially if you're feeling particularly overwhelmed at the time. Story 138. I found this one out myself since some frozen foods call for a damp towel for microwaving. This is to preserve moisture so the food doesn't come out dry, and it also works perfectly on eggs. No longer will leftover eggs be either dry or cold. Cover the eggs with a damp paper towel, and they come out of the microwave perfect. Story 139. Instead of typing essays, dictate them to your phone and email them to yourself. I have been doing this for the past few months, plus correcting errors and adding punctuation. Works like a charm. Story 140. When you're constipated, rotate your body around. Move your torso in a circular motion, then forward and backward like one of those oil-drinking birds. Works every time. Story 141. If you're trying to write something and need new ideas, stop writing. Go for a walk, go to the gym, do the dishes, take a shower, have something else you have to get to. For me, my brain fixates on the idea and won't stop coming up with new ideas if I have a deadline, and I'm not trying to muscle through it. I have to have a little distance, then catch all the ideas as they flood in and write them down. That way, when I get back to my computer, I'm energized and can't stop. Story 142. If there is a lingering cigarette smell, boil vinegar a few times and the vapors will neutralize the smell. Story 143. Be immediately accountable when you make a mistake. It is so much better than any other possibility. Story 144. Before I close the door on my way outside, I slap my pockets while reciting, phone, keys, wallet. I can tell instantly if I forgot anything. To answer the actual question, always wipe to the rear. Spotly. Story 145. Lysol toilet bowl cleaner gets that red irony stain off your tub, etc. if you have a lot of iron in your water. Story 146. Pop a car air freshener inside the filter of your vacuum cleaner. Your whole house will smell amazing while you use it. Story 147. Taking the time to write down everything you need to do, give it a time estimate, and then to daily look at your list and ask yourself what you did yesterday, what you're going to do today, and what you'd like to do tomorrow. It feels like a chore and a waste at first. Then you realize how little time it takes and how much it improves your productivity. Story 148. Instead of insulting yourself when you mess up, be sarcastic. Instead of saying, "Oh, I'm so stupid," or "I'm such an idiot," when you make a mistake, say instead, "I am so smart," or "I'm a frickin' ninja." Be sarcastic, for one. It's funny, gets a laugh out of people. And two, eventually you'll start believing it a little bit and feel better about yourself. Story 149. You can create a makeshift stylus with a Q-tip and some aluminum foil by wrapping the aluminum foil around the Q-tip so that the top sticks out. Then you wet the Q-tip a bit so that it's a little damp, and boom, you got a stylus. Story 150. If you don't have a bottle opener, fold up a piece of paper until you can't anymore, then try and open it. Story 151. Keep old bounce sheets. Forget to wash your work shirt and it has food and sweat marks? Take that old bounce sheet and rub all of the stains away. It also helps with the smell. Good in a pinch. I worked as a waitress and literally was given only one work shirt. Forgot to wash it before my shift sometimes. Story 152. Remember that food item you wanted so badly as a kid? You can buy it now and feel both successful and nostalgic. Story 153. Tell yourself something enough times and you'll believe it. Think you suck? You can't do something? Tell yourself that you're great and you'll be fine. Keep telling yourself that stuff all the time. Eventually, you'll start believing it. It's really hard to do it consistently, but I have such ridiculous anxiety when I'm taking a new bus or getting off at a different stop. I figured out if I just think, "It's okay," over and over for the entire bus ride, I start to feel better. Story 154. Set your time at least 5 minutes faster and forget about it. This way you're not as late as you think. I watched a video years ago and a Navy SEAL officer said, if you want to change the world, start off by making your bed. That is your first task completed for the day, and it will encourage you to complete more tasks. If you have a shoot day, then you'll come home to a beautifully made bed for you to restore and try again tomorrow. Edit to add. Make your bed motivation. Story 155. Do assignments ahead of time, even if they aren't due for a few weeks. If you do the hard work early, you won't have to do it later. This gives you more time to relax, or it lets you focus on something else that's more important. Story 156. Thank the nurses and doctors when you leave hospital. If you snap at them or are rude in any way, apologize the next time you see them. They understand you're not yourself and you're in a vulnerable position, so they won't take it personally. But a sincere apology will make their already stressful day a lot better. Story 157. Ditch fabric softener and dryer sheets. Just use a cup of vinegar in your laundry. It will be soft and smelling great. No more musty towels. Story 158. Are you trying to figure out if those batteries are dead? Drop them on a countertop. If they thud with no bounce, they're brand new. If they bounce high, they're empty. I'm not sure if this works with lithium, but I use it all the time with alkaline. Try it. Story 159. Hitting the eye icon next to the timer on YouTube ads and click the "This ad sucks" button to skip it. It has a timer or something, but insanely good for long, unskippable ads. Story 160. Rash? Hurts like hell? Trimmed your nail too short and it hurts like hell? Groin chafing? Hurts like hell? Chapstick, my dudes. Thin layer of chapstick on a rash or chapped skin. Gum up under your fingernail with chapstick. Instant relief from pain. Story 161. Put a piece of toilet paper into the toilet before you poop. You'll have no water splashes on your butt ever again. Story 162. Taking a bath in tea after getting a sunburn. The red from the sunburn will still be there, but the pain goes away. Just make a batch of really strong tea and mix it with your bath. Bath for about 10 minutes, making sure to get the water tea all over the sunburned area. Do this as quickly as you can after getting the burn. It's like magic. Story 163. You know how they say, "Jack of all trades, master of none," and that's an insult. The actual quote is, "A jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one." And as a person who is just above average, I find this comforting. Story 164. I order my coffee tea as medium, but ask if they can put it in a large cup. Most of the time they fill it all the way, so I save money. Story 165. Writing a to-do list. I like to draw a little box after each item, so I can do a big, satisfying tick when complete. Story 166. Best life hack for me and my children. When you're finished wiping, wipe one more time. Saves money on underwear and bleach. Story 167. My two weird hacks are use dryer sheets to polish chrome such as faucets and such. Second one is also strange but works amazingly. Suave shampoo, the daily clarifying one that is blue, works to clean soap scum off the tub. Barely any scrubbing required. Dry washcloth, apply a dollop of the shampoo to it and wipe tub. Slight elbow grease may be required, but not much really. And then rinse clean. Story 168. Lefties. Tick marks and check marks are allowed to be reversed. Start right, short line down left, long line up left. So satisfying. Story 169. I don't know if this qualifies as a life hack, but there is a saying that a bad decision is better than indecision, and I stand by that statement, especially in dangerous lines of work. Story 170. Once you find that item you've been searching for, don't put it back where you found it. Put it back in the first place you looked. Your brain already has decided that's where it should live. Your brain will thank you for making it so easy to find the next time you need it. Story 171. Long story short, use a water-based lube on your hair to tame frizz. So what flavor are you going to use? Story 172. Make room for new trash. Laundry has to be done and unloaded. Dishwasher needs to run and be emptied. Trash needs to be taken outside. If there's room for your new trash, dirty clothes, filthy dishes, your house is much cleaner. Story 173. When trying a new recipe, I always buy a store-bought backup. Too many times have I burnt a meal or missed a vital step when baking. Didn't test the baking soda before baking? Well, at least I have a roll of chocolate chip to enjoy. Soup was done step by step. You step away for a minute. Now the entire bottom is burnt? Well, at least I have a canned soup version. Salad stuff you bought has decomposed overnight? Well, at least there is a packaged one with fancy stuff. Story 174. Save all your veggies and fruits. No potatoes or bananas, scraps and peelings in a bag. Everything from onion paper to tomato tops to apple cores. Once the bag is full, put in a pot full of water and salt to taste. Bring to 205. A full boil is too hot. And hold it there for an hour. Now you have a delicious veggie stock full of nutrients that you can drink, use as a soup base, or use in place of water for cooking pasta and other recipes. Also, the older the scraps, the better. Don't be afraid if they start to break down and ferment before you cook it. That will just add flavor. Story 175. Washing your pillowcases at least once every 2 weeks improves the health of your skin. Dirty pillowcases give you acne. Story 176. Lining the water in the toilet bowl toilet paper, so when your deuce hits the water, it doesn't splash you. It's a shoot net. Story 177. Put a tortilla under your tacos while eating it. Once you're done, you have a pre-made taco from all the spillage. Story 178. Making a sploof can be used to hide the smell of cannabis. Useful if you live with family, and they're fairly easy to make. Story 179. White vinegar on a sunburn to take out the sting. However, this likely will cause it to dry more, so you should still follow it up with loads of lotion. A piece of raw spaghetti to light lots of candles. Toothpaste on zits. Doritos and dryer lint as kindling for a fire. Story 180. Never keep your vital ID in your wallet. I lost my wallet a few months ago and wasn't that upset about it. I called all the bank's companies and got replacements. My driver's license, insurance, and other stuff weren't lost. Story 181. Get a wood plank, draw a face, and voila, you have a new friend. Good way for introverts to start socializing. Story 182. If you need to sneeze, look at a bright light. If you need to stop a sneeze, firmly push up on your septum. Story 183. If you dislike doing something for someone, do it so horribly that they will never ask you for it ever again. Story 184. If you have the hiccups, grab a friend and a glass of water. Plug both ears with your fingers and have your friend start tilt the glass. Drink the whole thing and your hiccups should be gone. Story 185. Lay some toilet paper over the water before you take a dookie. Eliminates that splash that jumps back up on your cheeks. Story 186. I refuse to let myself be depressed, which I could very easily sink into. I've repeated the saying, I will not be depressed, so long that now it's second nature to me. Story 187. I discovered long ago that if I'm about to sneeze and I force my eyes to stay open with my fingers, the sneeze will never come out. It has saved me from sneezing into my mask many times over the course of this pandemic. I swear it works. Try it. Story 188. Atomic sponges. After doing dishes, microwave the sponge for 20 to 30 seconds. Brillo side down or the Brillo will burn. Helps the sponge dry out and eliminate mildew. Story 189. When we can go traveling again, have a wallet for each country currency, with coin pocket handiest, card wallet, or phone cover for credit cards IDs, and only the ones you are going to actively use in that country. As you go from country to country, just put wallet you need in pocket and drop leaving wallet in luggage. Means you don't have to sort through different currencies in same wallet. You can keep track of coins easier, and if wallet goes or is lifted, your cards aren't part of the drama. Story 190. Easy open strip on cardboard box sucks and is hard to open. Just open the other end by lifting the flap corner and running your finger underneath it from one side to the other. Story 191. Change your doorknobs out so there isn't a lock on it and only use a deadbolt. This way you'll never accidentally lock yourself out of the house. Story 192. Open your jerk before taking a shoot to not need to clean it. Really useful when there's no toilet paper. Story 193. Not really a life hack, but when shampoo was invented, it was meant to be used once a month. And to this day, it works best used once a month. It was meant to remove dirt, not oil. The oil doesn't need to be removed. In fact, it shouldn't be removed, as it protects your hair from various environmental factors. And it's not that gross unless you wash your hair more often than once a week. It's the shampoo that makes oily hair gross. It's a result of overuse. Literally, shampoo addiction. Story 194. Don't die in FPS game. I once saw a video on how to get better in Overwatch. The first tips was to not die. Seem intuitive, but it's true. Story 195. Brushing your teeth while showering and using a bidet, but the second one is only crappy in a different sense. Story 196. If you hit someone with your car, drive off fast. Cars are fast and you can just deny it and get it fixed. Works every time. Story 197. Going to my pot dealer's house only on the days that he's withdrawing from pills. He's so pill sick, he overweighs all his bags that day. This life hack works really well to get more plant substance for free. Story 198. Throw avocados at your Spanish teacher while yelling, learn Japanese, or Zepixel breaks your knees. Purpose: to skip class, assert dominance, and make people like you. Story 199. Jack off to cross-dressed photos of yourself to save money on costly adult content DVDs and magazines. Story 200. Here's a way to lose your virginity. Violation. Now, I ain't gonna say this is right or anything, but it is a life hack. Go to a man-woman and substances them, and go to the deed. Story 201. Eliminate yourself cures depression and helps save the world since you stop producing greenhouse gases. Story 202. Pulling your chute out when you poo. Use your hands to assist the process, and you'll find it going a whole lot smoother if you have a troublesome bum. Edited. That's it for this video. Don't forget to support Vancher and my second channel, Vanchus. See you soon.